Cyberdarks took down a huge case tournament here where meta was in full representation. Don't be like the 33.8% of you guys. If not, smash the crap out of that subscribe and smash until we get to 102,000. Breakdown for this case tournament is very, very interesting, actually. Highest represented deck for this top cut was 2 Dragon Links. Now, not particularly crazy seeing that Dragon Link was the highest seeded deck for this event. I mean, heck, Dragon Link will always be borderline 1.5 into tier 1. We know this as a thing, so that shouldn't surprise anybody here. Now, we had one Cyberdark deck in top cut here. Now, for those of you that are like, how did it manage? Well, when you see the deck profile here in a second, you'll get the chance to kind of judge for yourself what really makes a good strategy good. Now, we also had one Praying Kids in top 8, which, okay, that's good. We had one Phantom Knight. Don't you guys just love knowing that there's always going to be one Phantom Knight player lurking around in the top cut? It doesn't surprise me all that much to see that that deck is performing and doing well. We also had one Eldritch, of course, the king of set 5 pass, now with 200% more Lord of the Heavenly Sky Prison protection. That matchup is near unfun for anybody. All right, we also had one Sky Striker player. I mean, the loss of Fusion Destiny didn't really hurt this deck in the least, unfortunately. I know a lot of players are still looking at the deck and going, well, you know, we lost Fusion Destiny, it hurts. You're fine, all right? It just proves that, I mean, how well Striker continues to evolve is good. And then we had one Sword Soul 10E Synchro Toolbox here, proving that once again, Sword Soul still hangs on there. The Auroradon Toolbox is absolutely amazing for how this format has set it up to be, and you're going to continue to see success pretty much across the board here. Let's go talk about those deck lists, shall we? Locking down first place here is Cyberdarks, actually, with your splash package of Cyberdragon. We've all kind of seen this before, which I think it's interesting that you get to take advantage of the Cyberdark engine as a link climbing package for this particular variant, because you see, we're not doing any of the other real crazy shenanigans that a lot of the other builds try to do for the modern era. See, also we have shared rides in here so you can take advantage of things, but this is a little bit different of approach than I think a lot of people look at here. And you also have one sassy Golden Lord here, so that whatever your opponent does, you basically just get to answer straight on the fly, ladies and gentlemen. Out of pure honesty, I think that this deck is something you might want to consider trying, just to kind of pick up with and mess around with in terms of combo ability, because it's much different here. And Alex Monolek has a couple YCS tops with this deck, so I kind of value his opinion. Next up here is Praying Kids. Now, all of these next lists are going to be top 8. I don't have any record of who advanced from top 8, so these will just be generalized top 8. I just know Cyberdarks won the event. So in terms of this deck, we're on 49 cards. We're on triple cross out, the triple cosmics, and the triple droplets. So we're very heavy in the hate department for what you would be handling here for this minute. We also have the ghost bells down here. This whole side deck is just straight savaging the opponent for whatever mode that you're going to go on. This is probably by far one of the better builds that I've seen for Praying Kids here. Just because it's so tacked out to handle the metagame. This is what happens when you have one card engines that are able to adapt on such a high crazy level, and a lot of players just look at this and like, oh well, what am I supposed to do to this? The answer is you don't really do much, to be honest with you. So especially when it's this tacked out. All right. Next up here, we have Phantom Knights. Shucky darn, huh? I had a feeling there's going to be one of them Scythe players in the room. So standard Rite of Armisia Brave stuff in here. Standard triple E-Telly. I don't think I haven't seen a Phantom Knights list and not playing triple E-Telly. I feel like you'd just be kind of crazy just not to play the best extenders in your deck. Well, Robbie, how does this deck work? Literally. Did you know, fun fact, Alright, Cherubini drops any level 3, by the way. Alright, guess what Water Enchantress is? I'll give you a hint, it's 1, 2, 3, and it's easy to count to. So, outside of that, this deck is incredibly standard at this point. Your win con is based around yield, scythe locking the opponent, and setting up standard boards that you've seen Phantom Knights doing for how long in this format. Nobody should be a stranger to this deck at this point in time. Next up here is our first Dragon Link list that you're going to see here. I see that we are on double chamber, double tidying, so I think most of the builds were 1 and 1, 1 and 2. Seeing that we're back on this is fine. We're maining the Lancias because stopping Phantom Knights from being able to do anything is the most important thing that this deck has going for it. Alright, technically this deck could try to do some shenanigans with Dagda, but it's not in your best interest. It's amazing, actually. The fact that this deck is pretty much just time capsuled for this format and is just able to kind of return out of the woodwork and maintained its level of sanity, alright? Like, no real strange things to see here. Outside of that, Dragon Link's still going to function on the same way it does, still makes the exact same powerhouse board that it does, and because things like, Dark World of No More are kind of out of the format, a deck like this got a little bit more powerful, honestly, and I think that's a good thing. Next up here, the King of Douchery. 27 purple cards. Delicious. I wonder why this deck did good. Double Golden Lord, double Lord of the Heavenly Sky Prison. I think that most people that are playing this deck kind of agree on these ratios for the most part here. I see, of course, we're on 1-1 between the Black Awakening and the White Destiny. Outside of that, Dynamiscus has pretty much become a norm in this deck now. Hey man, it's a free revive and a free banish. Don't underestimate how stupid good this is. I see we're also maining the Judgments. I know a lot of people were looking at this deck and just being like, I don't really want to main the Judgments. We're also only playing double skill drain. Well, I mean, maybe the third skill drain didn't come up all that much, or maybe it was just not really that needed in the long run, but okay, double skill drain worked out. Ooh, hello guy. I see we have some super poly shenanigans built into that. Alright, next up here we have Sky Striker. Oh boy. Striker maining talents. I don't know how I feel about that. This forces you to rely on your opponent having something that is reactive to you. Now, with that being said, I'm not exactly a big fan of this. Chalice is for the immediate spells into the graveyard. I'm okay with this. I also see here that we have 1 Raigeki for the instant board wipe and the 1 Feather Duster for the instant back row removal. I can tell that this is a lot more teched out. We're also not playing the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer package in this deck. And I think seeing different levels of innovation with Striker, especially seeing something like the control variant out here that can function and do well even in a situation like this, really goes to prove like how well this deck has withstood the test of time here, and just how good of a card Engage is, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely wonderful. Next up here is our Sword Soul variant, and of course every Sword Soul variant at this point in time has went to the Auroradon combo. Alright, Auroradon synchro boards are insane for this deck. Alright, don't joke around about this stuff until you understand how crazy it is to get full Auroradon combo, because 95% of the time you're just going to look at this and you go, oh, my opponent, yeah, just better than me. Honestly, outside of that, the build itself, I mean, E-Tullies. Now, the one cool thing I like about this deck is Ghost Ogres just blend in so well with this deck because they're just free E-Tully targets. Plus, you get actual value out of Ghost Ogre in this deck. There's not a better psychic monster for this deck, and honestly, getting to Ogre a journey feels incredibly powerful. All right, a lot of players will look at this and go, oh, that's a real darn shame. And honestly, it pretty much wins you a game if you get the chance to resolve it correctly. Next up here is our last Dragon Link list. Now, there were 3 missing cards for this list that were on the back of the deck list. I can't get to them. We're assuming that they were hand trap related because of where they were, because they were in the hand trap section of the monsters. So keep that in mind as you're looking at this. Outside of that, one chamber two-tiding. That feels a little bit normal at this point. I see that we have one token collector down here in the side deck. Outside of that, evenly matches to rip apart the opponent's strategies. This all feels very normalized at this point in time for what Dragon Link really wants to do this format. So what do you guys think about this breakdown of deck list for this event? Please leave a comment below, tell me what you guys think. Make sure you guys smash the like crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more awesome content. And I'll see your beautiful faces back here later on the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.